Hey, Buff Nation, voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson here. Coming up this week on the Buffalo Stampede, we're going to talk with head coach Tad Boyle after the Buffs get an exhibition basketball win over Nebraska. We'll recap a Buffs football loss from my broadcast partner Gary Barnett and silent reporter Andy Lindahl, and look back at the Hall of Fame inductions as we connect with former great linebacker Greg Biekert, all this week on the Buffalo Stampede.
To 25-25. If they can't get this one, the Buffs take it in 4. Dodson the choice, the shot wide, and the Buffs storm the court. Pink match in Boulder is a winner for Colorado.
He's been serving a lot and done well here for the Trojan. That one is in. That wins it for Colorado. 25-20 in set number 4. The Buffs take down the 24th ranked USC Trojans and improve to 15-7 on the season.
There's 2 great volleyball wins by Jesse Mahoney, the volleyball team. Welcome to the Buffalo Stampede. Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson, head coach Tad Boyle here after the Buffaloes get a nice win in exhibition basketball over the Nebraska Cornhuskers. I don't care if you beat Nebraska in tiddlywinks. That's always kind of fun, isn't it?
It is. I knew when we started this series it would be good for our fans.
Yep.
And what a day to, again, raise some money for the Marshall Fire victims. I mean, it's a great cause. I was really pleased with our community and how they turned out for that, and yeah, I figure if Nebraska can't draw, nobody can. So.
That's right. All right, give us evaluation. You win this ball game. A lot of newness on this team. What are you thinking right now?
Yeah, I think, look, it's still, October, which means we still have a long way to go. But I like the personnel. I like the depth of this team. We're going to be able to go 10 deep, maybe even more at times. But it's hard to get the rotations right now. We got to really spend a lot of time this week as a staff kind of figuring out flow. But, look, we got a lot of talented guys coming off the bench. I thought we rebounded the ball well, shared the ball well. So a lot of good things we can use as stepping stones to get better.
The rebounding always, obviously, a cornerstone of Tad's program here. You lose the leading rebounder in the Pac-12. Evan Batty was always very solid there. Did you kind of wonder where that was going to come from in this team?
Yeah, you figured it out in practice a little bit. I think Javon Hadley battles in there. Luke O'Brien, I thought offensive glass, and Jalen Gavin were really active. Tristan really went in there. Lawson, we know he's probably been our leading rebounder in practice. So it's going to come from a multitude of guys, and Ethan Wright's a great rebounder from a guard. Yeah. And so anyway, we're rebounding is something I'm not going to worry about. I do wish we had Jabari back, but we don't. So we got to make the best of it.
72-61, the Buffaloes knock off the Huskers in exhibition basketball. We'll continue with Tad Boyle in a moment. But first, a Pac-12 cross-country championship last Friday in Riverside, California by the CU women, and Bailey Hertenstein won the individual title. Presented by Coors Light. Coors Light, mountain cold refreshment made to chill. Celebrate responsibly.
Hertenstein open up and stride.
Hertenstein,
yeah,
full stretch now. The transfer from Indiana is closing on Venters. And here comes Bailey Hertenstein. Look at Bailey Hertenstein go. She is going all out and all the way home. Bailey Hertenstein wins the Pac-12 2022 championship.
She broke the course record that stood for 10 years.
I was really happy to see Covert go for it. I knew she's been up and down. Today was one of her ups for sure. When I saw her go, I was like, okay, go Emily, go. You're gonna have to take it. And I needed to sit there because I was not ready to go. So I knew that if I kept Venters within my distance, I could just sit there. I felt really confident in it. I knew that I have a decent kick, and so I knew if I kept her within my distance that I could just go guns a-blazing on it. I feel like throughout high school I was able to have that second gear and trust myself to take it when I needed to take it, but I'd had enough to trust myself to take it and take it home. I did love my time at Indiana. I think I needed a change of pace, a different environment, and I honestly, when I went to Colorado, I fell in love with the girls. They are my family, my best friends, and I feel like this is where I needed to be.
Well, as I like to say, death, taxes, and Mark Wetmore winning championships, right? They've got another one for the women of the Pac-12. We continue with Tad Boyle. Okay, how about defensively? What are you seeing from your squad ahead of the regular camp?
Well, you know, one of our goals, Mark, every time we step on the floor for a 40-minute game, is we want to limit the other team to 6 or fewer threes. We did that against Nebraska, which is good. And the ones that they got, we could have taken away because they were shooters on the scouting report. So we've got to do a little bit better in terms of knowing our personnel. And early in the game, or the season especially, because scouting reports may not be as accurate. There's a lot of new players. Nebraska had 4 transfers. You know, you got to figure it out on the fly a little bit, and that's a challenge for your players as the game goes. Hey, is this guy a driver? Is this guy made a couple threes? We got to take him away from shooters and knowing personnel.
KJ Simpson leads the Buffs in points as the point guard. You kind of handed the ball to him and said, okay, you're the quarterback. He's going to be an offensive point guard, isn't he?
He is. We want KJ to be aggressive, and we want him to be, he's a scoring threat for sure. But he's going to have to find that balance between scoring and facilitating. But we got other guys that I thought Javon Ruffin's minutes coming off the bench. Julian Hammond, we know he's a very capable player. Ethan Wright. So we've got multiple guys going to handle the ball. It doesn't always have to be in KJ's hands, but KJ's going to need to score the ball for us this year. No doubt about it.
The other guy that I just love as a player because of the skill set he brings, Tristan DeSilva, is just so solid in every aspect.
Yeah, you just I don't want to take that kid for granted because he is just every time he's on the floor, you know, you just feel comfortable. Things are going to happen defensively, things are going to happen offensively, and he plays with a great pace about himself.
How about this early schedule? Good thing you got an easy schedule, right?
Yeah. Well, look, you got Riverside is going to come in here, and they're a well-coached team. They won a bunch of games last year, and then we go to Grambling. You know, first time we've ever been to a SWAC school on the road, and then obviously Tennessee, Myrtle Beach. Tennessee just beat Gonzaga by like 9 or 10 the other night, so got our hands full.
No doubt about that. Well, nice exhibition anyway.
Yep, thank you.
All right, head coach Tad Boyle. He the Buffaloes get a 72-61 win over Nebraska. We'll take a time out here to Buffalo Stampede. We're talking football with my broadcast partner, Gary Barnett, when we come back. Jordan Tyson, the grab of the 13. He's got room, running to his right. Outfield now, running at the 35, running at the 40, running at 45. He's got room. It's a foot race. 35-30, 25-20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Touchdown, Colorado! How many times have we told you about the lightning-like ability of Jordan Tyson? Well, a little bit of late excitement there, an 88-yard punt return by Jordan Tyson, pulling the Buffs within 8, but they still fall on homecoming 2022, 42-34 to the Arizona State Sun Devils. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Buffalo Stampede. Coach Gary Barnett, voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Well, they made a game of it, and there were some positives to take out of this. Still a loss, but what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, it was exciting there for a while, thinking what could happen with 3 minutes left. But, yeah, that was a great play. But and on the outside, people look at that score and they go, oh, pretty close game. Reality, it wasn't all that close. But we made some headway, at least offensively, I think. You know, you can't just complete 13 passes in a game like this and win it. We had a 100-yard rusher, Deion Smith. We had a 100-yard receiver, and Jordan Tyson. He had the big punt return for 87 or whatever it was, and those were spectacular. But you know, the other side, we didn't play as well, and we gave up 400 yards passing. And Mark, you can't win in any league when you give up 400 yards passing. And so we're just not playing complimentary football. Kids are trying. They're young. They're probably leaderless to some extent right now, and that's always an issue. But you know, what can you say? I think they're better than they were 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, and I think they're still playing hard. And we'll have to see. We're just not really good enough to stop some of these teams. That's a game, though, that we could have won.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
We were not totally out personnel in that game.
Yeah, the Buffaloes, though, didn't capitalize in key situations. You said this in the end of our radio broadcast on the radio network. You said every game comes out of 4 or 5 plays. And this team just does not know how to make those plays in those situations.
They don't know which plays are those 4 or 5. And, you know, the drop pass that you have, well, it's just a drop pass. Well, yeah, except that might have been one of those 4 plays that makes a difference. And so they got to understand that. It's 4 or 5 plays. You don't know which ones are going to be, and you've got to make them when your chance comes.
Yeah, for the first time this season, you look for the little positives in something like this when you're 1-7. Buffalo scored over 20 points in this ballgame. First time they've done that all season long. Had their closest loss all season long. I know they're little things, but you're looking at a year like this. Afterward, we did hear from interim head coach Mike Sanford.
You know, first off, I wanted to just commend our team for the fight that they exhibited throughout the entirety of 4 quarters, and you know, the resolve. You know, I think we started slow, as we know, defensively in the first half. Built ourselves a bit of a hole. I really think the first half was probably the best offensive football that we've played in the season. Was pleased with some of the playmaking. Really pleased also with, you know, the fact that we had a 100-yard rusher, 100-yard receiver. I believe it was the first time in a couple years, you know, at least a year and a half. Right now we're at a place where I believe that the team is fighting, and it's showing up. You know, I think on Saturdays, the way that they're fighting in practice, the way that they're going about their work every day. But obviously the missing link is playing that type of football when a defense gets a stop, the offense goes and scores, or, you know, Trevor Woods' interception, we need to back that up with 7. You know, or offense goes and has a tremendous drive, defense has to get a stop. And those are the things right now that I believe we're going to piece together throughout the course of these next 4 weeks. And we know that the challenges get even more significant, but we're up for the challenge.
That was Mike Sanford after the Buffaloes fall by 8, 42-34 as they lose to the Arizona State Sun Devils here on homecoming at Folsom Field. We continue with Coach Gary Barnett. You know, we talked about Jordan Tyson there. There are some young players in this team you get excited about. He's one of those guys, 118-yard receiving, long touchdown, at a 58-yard touchdown, at the 88-yard punt return. He's an exciting young player.
Yeah, no question. And I think Deion Smith's doing a great job running the football.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think we get Alex Fontenot. We're going to be a little bit better there, and Hankerson. We've got some guys, but, you know, we just don't have enough that are playing at a high level and playing every week. If you really love to play the game, you're going to go play it. You're going to play it as high a level as you can. Our issue now is we've got a brutal schedule
it's crazy.
coming up,
yeah.
And we just have to grow up a little bit in each one of those games, and that's the way we got to look at it.
Yeah, this November schedule, before the season began, you knew it was going to be very tough. You've got, coming up on Saturday, you've got Oregon. That's a 1:30 game, by the way, we found out. You've got USC. You've got Washington and Utah. 3 of those teams either have been or are in the top 10. This is a kind of slate down the stretch here, Gary, where when you've got liabilities, they get magnified against this level of competition.
Absolutely, and our pass defense right now is really suspect, and we're going to play 2 of the best passing teams, 3 of the best passing teams in the whole conference yet to play. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, but it'll be a challenge to get to play football and get to play college football and see what, you know, Mike Sanford's, you know, I think he's having fun. I think he's doing it the way he should do it, and we'll just have to see what happens.
You know, J.T. Shroud only had 13 completions, as Gary pointed out just a moment ago. When you watch him, Gary, 13 of 34 passing, what do you see from J.T.?
He had 1 big drop tonight and a couple that maybe could have been caught, but other than that, he had some inaccurate throws. Now, some of them weren't his fault because he was under pressure. I understand that. But if he's going to be a great thrower, he's got to be an accurate thrower.
Yeah, the Buffaloes, though, fall by 8 to Arizona State. They're sitting at 1-7 of the season, 1-4 in Pac-12 conference play. We'll take a timeout here to Buffalo Stampede. Our sideline reporter, Andy Lindahl, joins us next. Takes a snap, drops, steps up the pocket, now running, now rears back, and a go for the home run ball. Jordan Tyson's out there at the 5-yard line, end zone, touchdown, touchdown Colorado, a 58-yard strike. JT buying time, running to the near sideline, and he threw behind that ball everything he had. There was a big throw right there by JT Shroud, finding Jordan Tyson for a long touchdown for the Colorado Buffaloes. Jordan Tyson goes over 100 yards receiving, had a 100-yard rusher and Deion Smith. Of course, Jordan also had the 88-yard punt return for a touchdown for the Buffaloes as well. Sideline reporter Andy Lindahl joining us. There were some things you want to cling to in what overall was not a good night for the Buffaloes, but some exciting performances.
Yeah, I mean, look, Coach said it best. The stats don't, or the stats will tell you what the real story of the game was, where the score doesn't. But look, they made some strides. Okay, right now, if you're in, Buff country, what you want to see is this team get better. The offense got better. They finally got into the 30s this time. It wasn't everything that you wanted. They missed some plays. They had some opportunities, Mark. But at the end of the day, progress is being shown. And I think that's a good thing right now, considering how bad things were. And just to put it plainly, back in September, to now be in October and actually have some points being scored, that's a step forward, even though the wins aren't coming along with it.
One thing about what Mike Sanford is doing as the interim head coach here, he's infused energy into this thing. And this locker room does still, despite the fact they're not winning ball games right now, they seem to be together.
Yeah, look, this is a tough situation. Nobody really knows what the future is going to hold. And he came in mid-season and look, things were not in a good spot. We know that.
Right.
The energy on the field was not good. I've been around it. It was just, frankly, it was dead. And now they're playing with energy, and they're playing hard. And look, they had a chance to fold up shop when Arizona got 3 scores ahead. They didn't do that. They came back, they got a score, they fought to get a defensive stop, they went and got another score with the punt return. I mean, this team is playing hard. Heard from some Buff fans tonight over Twitter. Yep. I'm just happy that they're playing hard, that they stayed in the fight. I thought Coach said it best at the end of the game, too, Mark. Really, I get why the fans left. It's chilly, it's Halloween, the game wasn't going your way, but quite honestly, these young men gave you a game that was a 1-score game with 4 minutes left to go. I wished a few more people would have stuck around.
Well, it certainly was kind of a fun ball game, which is something we hadn't had early in the season, as it went into the fourth quarter after that 88-yard punt return by Jordan Tyson. Made it an 8-point game, but that's where it stayed. 42-34. The Buffaloes fall to Arizona State here at Folsom Field. Randy Lindahl, I'm voice of the Bus, Mark Johnson. We're going to take a timeout here on the Buffalo Stampede. We're going to catch up with one of our new Hall of Famers here at CU. Great linebacker, Greg Beaker, is going to join us next.
Congratulations to our inductees. This is a very special class. We hold this every year, and there's incredible stories about this group. We have 3 big-time football players that are in this class. 2 of them I recruited. Charles Davis, I didn't recruit you. You're a little older than me, but we're glad you're in this class. Greg Beekert and Jay Leuenberg, 2 of our greats. We have 2 track and field stars, Jane Frederick and Yolanda Johnson, in this class. We have 2 incredible skiers, Jimmy Griffith and Maria Grevsgaard, 1 gymnast, Debbie WILLCOX Mills, and one of our great administrators that worked on our campus and was one of my predecessors, Dick THARP. And I think we all know that this is the 50th year of Title IX, and this is by far the biggest class we've had with women inductees, and something we're really proud of. We also have 2 Hall of Honor inductees, 2 great Buffs, Jim Hansen, Rhodes Scholar, and Dr. Eric McCarty, who's done surgery on half this room. Also new this year, we launched a new wing in our Hall of Fame. It's the Legacy Wing, and the voting for this inaugural members into this was a landslide that we honor Peggy Coppin and Betty Hoover, our twins.
Well, what a night, the 2022 Colorado Athletic Department Hall of Fame class. There was Athletic Director Rick George introducing the class. Back in the Stampede, voice of the Bus, Mark Johnson. He's now a Hall of Famer. Greg Beekert, football player for the Buffaloes. I think that means your autograph's worth more now. Is that what it means?
I don't know if that means that, but what a great honor it is to be here, and what a great night this has been put on by the university and the Alumni C Club. It's amazing.
You know, Greg, when you get a call like that, you're a student athlete, you're here to compete. You guys had great success, obviously, while you were here, late 80s, early 90s. And then all these years later, you get that phone call. What was it like when Rick gave you a call?
It was great. I mean, I'd probably talked to Rick maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And, he gave me a call, and I thought, he just probably wants me to come up to practice, check things out, and let me know. And I mean, I was very surprised. I really was. I know who's gone in ahead of me from those teams, and those are all very special guys. So to be included with them means a lot to me.
How about becoming a Colorado Buffalo? How did that happen back in the day for you? How'd you become a Buff? You had many options out there.
I had some options. Like I said, lived in Longmont, 10 miles away.
Stay close to home.
Yeah, exactly. Really risking it. But really, there was a lot of, I specifically remember sitting down with my dad, and he said, write down on a piece of paper each university that's recruiting you, what the positives are, how you see it, what the negatives are. And I really couldn't find much negative about CU at the time, and there was plenty of positives, and it was just, I didn't know much about CU football. But I kind of knew enough that, the Nebraska game, when they first beat them in I think it was 86. That was kind of eye-opening for me as a high school student, and just said, you know what, I think this is going to be the place for me. One of the great linebackers in Colorado history. We're going to continue our conversation. One of the other inductees on Thursday night was a phenomenal track athlete, Jane Frederick.
It was a hard time. And even my boyfriend, who was very nice man, but young guy, looked at me when I was working out in the field house while the team was cooling down there on a snowy day and said, "Are you still doing that running thing?" So it was tough. There were moments when I didn't have a place to belong. But I have to tell you, there's a man in the room right over there. When I was so young, and I had no one to train with, and the great Bill Marolt said yes. I was allowed to have a place to belong, even though he knew and I knew come February I had to move over to track again. I cannot thank you enough for making me feel so welcome, so much a part of a family I didn't know I had. I cannot begin to tell you how much it's wonderful to find a home.
Great comments there from Jane Frederick, a Hall of Famer. We continue with the Hall of Famer, Greg Biekert. A couple of guys that were influential in your life. Obviously, Bill McCartney. What was special about Bill McCartney you took away from playing for him?
Coach Mack, I mean, his dedication, I mean, the type of man he is really showed through in his coaching. And he expected a lot of his players. I mean, on and off the field. I mean, he would, not really pull any punches. What he expected of his athletes off the field.
Yeah.
And you knew, what he expected on the field because you were at practice every day and you saw it firsthand. And he ran such a strict program, but it wasn't in a way that you felt like he was, overpowering. And
right.
You knew he wanted it for the success of the program. And I think guys bought into that. They caught on to his vision of what CU football could be.
Greg told a great story during this induction speech. You were an outside linebacker playing behind Canavis McGee and Alfred Williamson. I'm not sure you can see the field. And then another guy that's been incredibly influential, Brian Cabral.
Right.
And I was talking with Jeff Smart the other day, great linebacker here in Colorado, and all the guys that played for Brian. What is it about Brian Cabral that has resonated with all of you guys? I mean, I don't talk to a linebacker that doesn't rave about what Brian has meant in their life.
I think Brian's been probably, of all the all the linebackers that played here, probably one of the bigger influences on all of their lives. Even while they were here, but even afterwards, and he just has a way of kind of getting into your heart and getting into your soul.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like a father figure. You don't want to lose that relationship just because you're done playing here.
Yeah.
And you want to keep that going and keep that relationship going. I mean, he's a special man and was a very good linebacker.
Yeah, no doubt about that. This guy here was a pretty good one, too. Played on a national championship team, 11 years in the NFL. Now a Hall of Famer. Congratulations.
Thanks.
All right.
It.
The great Greg Biekert, inducted on Thursday night in the 2022 Hall of Fame class. As we put a wrap this week in the Buffalo Stampede, I'm voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next time.